The Oilers have found their next stars as a prospect ranking was just put out in the Oilers with two representatives on it. Yes, Ike Howard and Matt Savoie will break down why they're on this top 100 prospect list and where we could see them slot in for the Oilers this year. All that and more today on the channel. But first, we are 41 subscribers away from 3,900 on the road to 4,000. If you haven't done so already, folks, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below for any and all Oiler news. The dog days of summer are upon us, but still lots to talk about within oil country. Now, without further ado, diamonds in the rough prospect pool. Yes, we all know the Oilers, a bottom five prospect pool in the NHL, but the top two prospects in this organization absolutely fantastic there, as Scott Wheeler of The Athletic just released his top 100 drafted NHL prospects ranking. You can see there Matthew Schaefer, Michael Misa, and Igor Demidov, Ivan Demidov, mind you, all cracking this list within the top five for The Athletic. But the Oilers only have two, but the Blackhawks lead this edition with 7 prospects in the top 100, followed by the Capitals and Predators with 6, and the Islanders, Blues, Sharks, Mammoth, and Wild with 5 apiece. 3 teams do not have a ranked prospect: the Panthers, Stars, and Avalanche, though Colorado has a netminder in the goalie ranking. As I mentioned, Ike Howard and Matt Savoie, both very, very close there in the top 100 prospect rankings. Ike Howard getting the 49th spot, and then Matt Savoie getting the 53rd spot. Now, when it comes to, Ike Howard, and Scott Wheeler's sort of, not prediction, but just the way that he plays on the ice there and how he could be very dangerous in this Oiler team. Howard is a player with the kind of track record of success that nearly always translates. Though he's quote-unquote short at 5'10", he's not small, with a muscular build that makes him sturdier than you might expect on his feet and over pucks. He has quick crossover acceleration with a hurried stride that cranks its way up ice to give him good speed. He's the kind of player who finds ways to get open in the home plate area in the slot there, and then makes quick, aggressive finishing plays either with his hands or a heavy one-touch slash catch and release shot. And I've watched many highlights of Ike Howard since the Oilers acquired him, and very dangerous, almost like a Draisaitl type player there, where he smells blood in the water there, and once he has the puck on his stick, he is quickly releasing it there. Very, very dangerous whenever you give him time in space. You can see there, winning the Hobey Baker this past season with the Michigan State University Spartans there, 52 points in 37 games played there. The first season, I should say, the University of Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs there in the NCAA, 17 points in 35 games played, but he moves to Michigan State and reunited with his coach from the U.S. National Development Team, and then he sets the world ablaze on the college ranks there. Now, what kind of player is he going to be with the Oilers? He's a player who's always going to have power play utility, but will require the right coach, usage, and alignments to be the impactful top 6 winger I think he's capable of being a 5-on-5. It has been nice, though, over the last 2 years to see him play with more jump, get more loose pucks, move his feet to get off the wall and to the slot/net, and be above and supporting more pucks when the other team has possession. I think he'll contribute right away with the Oilers. Now, whenever I hear Ike Howard in interviews, he's got a lot of confidence behind him, and exactly that is what the Oilers need. We need, a young player with a chip on his shoulder with something to prove right off the bat, to sort of prove Tampa Bay for saying, hey, you should have let me play earlier. I mean, he wanted some playoff time with the Lightning. The Lightning said no, and then Ike Howard wanted to move on to greener pastures there. So it's always nice to have, a player with a little bit of a bite to him. You can see there the projected lineup. Of course, this is not cemented whatsoever. Bob Stauffer had Ike Howard next to Connor McDavid, but you can slot him with any one of these centers to, get him adjusted into the NHL game. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, although it'd be a little worrisome to have Leon Draisaitl centering 2 rookies there with Ike Howard in Matt Savoie there, but we've seen crazier things. You can either put, Howard with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, a playmaker in Nugent, a natural playmaker Nugent next to a trigger man in Ike Howard, or the vet, the seasoned vet with Adam Henrique there, but I don't think we'll see Ike Howard on the 4th line at all this season unless he gets put in the doghouse like Jeff Skinner with Kris Knoblauch. Always unpredictable with Knob. And again, the second power play unit It would be very interesting with Ike Howard, again, the trigger man on that power play. You can see him, with Matt Savoie, Andrew Mangiapane, Adam Henrique, and Jake Wallman. We didn't really see the second power play unit much at all this season. The Oilers would burn through that first minute and a half on the power play, then they would change, and then the second power play unit would come onto the ice there. But Ike Howard, very interested to see what he could even do with that first power play unit there. But that's a we're counting our chickens before we hatch them, folks. I still have to see what he can do in Game 1 with the Oilers. Now, you saw Matt Savoie on that first power play unit in the 53rd ranked prospect on Scott Wheeler's list there. You can see with the Bakersfield Condors, 66 games played, 19 goals for 35 assists, good enough for 54 points, and he got his first NHL assist with the Oilers after the Four Nations face-off there, brought up for 4 games, and then quickly sent back down there, but looked like he was naturally right next to Leon Draisaitl. I mean, there's really no reason to send him down. He looked very, very confident and comfortable next to Leon Draisaitl. From Scott Wheeler, more of his analysis here. His game has some exciting elements when he's at his best. He's on the smaller side, though, and there have been some questions about whether his offense will translate at the NHL level. And if it doesn't, what his role in position are as a natural center, who many believe is an NHL winger. But, despite being small, he plays the game with enough drive that his size usually doesn't feel like a major factor. He seems to pounce on so many pucks when they squirt into holes in coverage. He's always engaged, he keeps his feet moving, and he plays with a ton of energy. Now, we keep forgetting that Matt Savoie, top 10 pick by the Buffalo Sabres a number of years back. He was trading Ryan McLeod for Matt Savoie. Buffalo getting someone who's a little more proven than Matt Savoie. Again, I'm still questioning why they traded Savoie there, but it'll be very interesting to see what Savoie can bring, when he's a full-time regular in this Oiler lineup. As I mentioned, 54 points, good enough for second on the Bakersfield Condors there, which is fantastic. I mean, keeping up with the vets on this team, Drake Caggiula in, James Hamblin along with AHL regular Seth Griffith there with the Condors, and he was good enough for 5th in rookie scoring in the AHL, 6 points behind Justin, whatever that last name is. I'm not even going to try to attempt that, folks, but Justin of the Texas Stars, Bradley Nadeau, Vili Koivunen, and Justin Robidas there. But again, Matthew Savoie keeping up with the rookies in the AHL, but apparently not good enough to crack the 2024-25 AHL all-rookie team. But when it comes to, the Oilers drafting, these young wingers, where Matt Savoie sort of ranks with Oiler right wingers of the past there, Jordan Eberle, Kyler Yamamoto, and Tyler Pitlick there. You can see Matt Savoie 2.09 points per game in the WHL with the Moose Jaw Warriors there as a 19-year-old, 0.82 points per game as an AHL, 20 years old in the AHL, and then 0.25 points per game in the NHL, also at 20 years old there. But, see, much better than Jordan Eberle there. So if he, becomes even, like Jordan Eberle, I'd be very, very happy with that. But Matt Savoie, lapping the Oiler peers there. But Scott Wheeler, even though, Matt Savoie, he's small, doesn't really matter. I remain a believer in him becoming a high-tempo top 9 forward. He has been prone to injuries over the years, though, and staying healthy is going to be really important. Maybe part of the reason why Buffalo did trade him. I think he has some power play upside due to his shooting/skill package in 5-on-5 upside because of his skating and motor. I mean, he won the AHL fastest skater at the AHL All-Star Skills competition. Even in games where the points don't fall, he's usually making something happen, and he's seldom going to leave you wanting more. His speed might make him a useful penalty killer and give him all situations value in the NHL as well. As we saw, projected to be on that second Oiler power play unit. I do see why some wonder about him as well, though, and the clock will start to tick if he can establish himself as a regular in Edmonton next season. Now, I think he will. The doubt for him establishing himself, I think it's just, to drive clicks. I mean, Matt Savoie, he will be a regular in the NHL this season. I don't think he'll ever go back to Bakersfield. I mean, if he does go back to Bakersfield, something will have gone terribly, terribly wrong, though. But for Kris Knoblauch in his, ideal situation here, for these two youngsters, the most difficult part of our job is giving young players an opportunity to play while also trying to hold them accountable and find that fine line where how many mistakes are allowed. We expect to have young forwards in our group. Howard is a very offensive player, and we'd like to find him a role on the power play, probably on the second unit, and I really like Savoie's play on the PK in Bakersfield, and he will get that chance with us Now the Oilers and young players didn't seem to be, something that mixed. Even though the Oilers in the decade of darkness, many first overall picks and lots of early picks, anyways, in the first and second round there. But they either rushed players up too quickly, or they just didn't give them enough of a chance, and then they went on to other things like Philip Broberg. Didn't get him enough of a chance with the Oilers. Got some playoff time, but again, it was too little, too late there, and he was unhappy. Went to St. Louis. Dmitry Samorukov barely got any time with the Oilers, and then his first NHL game played makes a turnover, leads to I do believe what was a St. Louis Blues goal, and then he's benched for the rest of the game. He only played like a minute and something. Dave Tipp had benched him after that one, so hopefully the Oilers learn from their mistakes when it comes to again, like Knoblauch said, finding that fine line between okay, telling the players okay, make the mistakes but learn from it, or just straight up benching them for making a mistake, and then that just that just deflates a player's confidence like no other. As I mentioned, the second penalty kill unit, we could see, again, Savoie on the second penalty kill unit, just, because of that speed. Like we saw Ryan McLeod on the penalty kill unit in the Oilers 2024 Cup run there. Something quick, speedy, and shifty. That is what we need on the penalty kill unit, and that's something that Matt Savoie can bring there. Ideally, we'd love to have Howard and Savoie be able to play in the top six immediately and have an impact while learning from their mistakes. And hopefully that is the case, but we know there will be some hiccups. But from the organization standpoint, we have a lot of belief in these guys. Again, like I mentioned, the Oilers, not a very deep prospect pool, but the top two, fantastic, with Ike Howard and Matt Savoie. It's interesting to note Sam O'Reilly with the Tampa Bay Lightning did not crack the top 100 there, so take that how you will. That is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about Howard and Savoie. Where would you put them in the lineup? And again, would you give them any special teams time, or would you wait, as we get deeper into the season to see, how these two players play? I'm very interested to see what you all have to say regarding these two players. We all see prospects differently, and that's the beauty about the game of hockey, folks. But again, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe here to the channel for any and all Oiler news. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, folks. I'm Matt.